The single dad and his boss got trapped in a car. She whispered, "Don't tell anyone about this." The snowstorm arrived without warning. One moment the highway was clear beneath the bright winter sun, and the next it disappeared behind swirling white walls. A lonely SUV slid off the road and settled into a frozen ditch, miles away from the nearest town. Inside sat a hard-working single father and the powerful CEO who had barely noticed him for months. As the engine struggled against the freezing cold, silence filled the car. Then, with trembling eyes and a voice he had never imagined hearing from someone so confident, she leaned closer and whispered, "Don't tell anyone about this." In that single moment, a secret heavier than the storm outside changed both of their lives forever. Before we continue this unforgettable journey, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise. Your support helps bring more heartfelt stories to people who need hope, and your kindness can inspire someone today. Graham Foster had never expected life to become so difficult before turning 38. After losing his wife to a sudden illness 4 years earlier, every sunrise became a race against time. He woke before dawn, packed lunches for his 9-year-old daughter Hazel, braided her chestnut hair after watching online tutorials, and hurried to his maintenance job at Brightstone Technologies. Money was always tight, but Graham never allowed Hazel to see his worries. She believed her father could fix anything, from broken toys to broken hearts, and every night he smiled simply because she believed in him. Brightstone Technologies was led by Vivian Hale, a brilliant 40-year-old executive admired across the business world. Employees respected her intelligence but feared her distance. She was always perfectly dressed, always composed, and always surrounded by meetings and deadlines. Graham had exchanged only a few polite greetings with her over the years. To him, she seemed untouchable, someone living in a world completely different from his own. One crisp morning, Vivian surprised everyone by announcing she would personally inspect one of the company's remote facilities. The usual driver became unavailable because of the worsening weather, and the transport manager desperately searched for someone familiar with the mountain roads. Graham quietly volunteered. He knew those roads well because he had often driven through them while taking Hazel to visit her grandparents before they passed away. The journey began beneath clear blue skies. Sunlight reflected beautifully across snow-covered fields, making everything appear peaceful. Vivian spent the first hour reviewing documents while Graham focused on the road. Gradually they began speaking, first about work, then about family. Graham mentioned Hazel with unmistakable pride, while Vivian listened more carefully than anyone expected. There was sadness hidden behind her calm expression whenever children were mentioned, but she quickly changed the subject. As afternoon approached, dark clouds rolled across the mountains. The weather changed with frightening speed. Heavy snow reduced visibility until Graham could barely see a few feet ahead. Despite driving cautiously, black ice sent the SUV sliding sideways. The vehicle left the road, settling safely but helplessly into a snowbank. The engine refused to restart. Mobile signals vanished. The bright daytime landscape suddenly felt endless and isolated. Graham immediately checked that Vivian was unhurt before searching the emergency kit. There were blankets, bottled water, and a small flashlight. He remained calm despite knowing temperatures would continue falling. He wrapped one blanket around Vivian's shoulders and another around himself, reassuring her that rescue crews would eventually search the route. His steady confidence slowed her racing heartbeat. Hours passed. The sunlight faded behind thick clouds, though it was still early evening. The heater no longer worked, forcing them to stay warm beneath the blankets. It was during that quiet stretch that Vivian finally broke. Tears rolled down the face of the woman everyone believed was stronger than steel. She admitted that she had spent years hiding the truth behind endless work. She confessed she had once been engaged, had dreamed of becoming a mother, but tragedy destroyed both dreams within a single year. Since then, she buried every emotion beneath success because she feared appearing weak. Looking into Graham's compassionate eyes, she whispered that no one at the company could ever know she had cried or revealed her past. Graham nodded without hesitation. He understood what it meant to carry invisible pain. Losing his wife had taught him that grief never completely disappeared. People simply learned to walk beside it. He promised her secret would remain safe, not because she was his boss, but because every hurting person deserved dignity. That promise created a quiet bond neither of them expected. They talked for hours. Vivian listened as Graham described lonely birthdays, learning to cook for Hazel, helping with homework after exhausting shifts, and pretending everything would be all right even when he doubted it himself. She realized she had passed this gentleman in office hallways hundreds of times without ever seeing the extraordinary strength behind his ordinary appearance. The following morning, rescue workers finally spotted the stranded SUV. Both were exhausted but unharmed. News spread quickly throughout the company about the overnight rescue. Reporters even requested interviews, hoping for dramatic stories. Graham simply thanked the emergency teams and refused every opportunity to seek attention. He never mentioned Vivian's tears, her confession, or the promise he had made inside that frozen car. Weeks later, Brightstone quietly introduced new family support programs, flexible schedules for single parents, counseling services, and scholarships for employees' children. Nobody understood why these changes happened so suddenly. Graham never asked questions. He simply appreciated that life had become slightly easier for families like his. One afternoon, Vivian visited the maintenance department herself. Instead of speaking about promotions or business targets, she handed Graham a handwritten letter. Inside, she thanked him for reminding her that leadership was not about hiding pain but understanding the struggles of others. She had spent years building a successful company, yet one unexpected night trapped in the snow had finally taught her how to build a compassionate workplace. Months later, Hazel proudly won a regional science competition using materials Graham had helped her collect from discarded equipment. At the ceremony, Vivian attended quietly from the audience. She applauded louder than anyone else, smiling as Graham embraced his daughter. She realized that true wealth was measured not by company profits but by moments that gave people hope. If this story has touched your heart so far, please like, share, and leave a comment. Your support encourages more stories that celebrate kindness, resilience, and the quiet heroes who change lives without asking for recognition. Special request: tell us in the comments, what secret act of kindness has someone shown you that you will never forget? As Graham and Hazel walked home beneath another bright winter sky, he realized that the greatest miracles rarely arrived with applause. Sometimes they arrived inside a stranded car, during the coldest day of the year, when two strangers discovered that behind every title, every paycheck, and every confident smile was simply another human heart waiting to be understood. Vivian kept her promise to lead with compassion. Graham kept his promise to protect her secret, and both learned that kindness shared in silence often creates the loudest change. Long after the snow had melted, the memory of that extraordinary day remained a reminder that second chances begin the moment one person chooses understanding